Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, the only show that provides you with the best insight and information to everything Franklin County sports. And now here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Want to welcome you here today. Yes, we're here for another week. There's a lot of sports to talk about, a couple of cool things that are going on as well. One of the nicest things that's happening in the Valley is going to happen this Friday night. It'll be a Friday night football game in Turners Falls. You heard me right. It wasn't something wrong. It wasn't a misprint. We have a Turners Falls football game Friday night. It's going to be a great one, and we'll give you all the details coming up in just a moment. Want to thank our underwriters here today, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, Jenny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Sean Hubert and Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue Way in Turners Falls, and by Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Want to thank Philippe Simone, also John Meisner and Allie Murphy. Thank you guys. Our production crew does a wonderful job each and every week, and we're very thankful to also be on the FCAT down in South Deerfield, also MCTV in Turners Falls. Why don't we kick things off here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report? It's everything that happened last Monday. Well, the Mohawk boys soccer team ended up getting underway in a big way last Monday with a nice 9-1 victory. They ended up beating Duggan. Duggan Academy really struggled in this one. It was totally all Mohawk in this one. Final score again was 9-1. And there was a lot of scoring that went on in this one. Nick Jarvis, matter of fact, only had to make 6 saves in the net for that game. Also, Holyoke picks up a 1-0 win over Frontier. Very tough one there to be able to lose a 1-0 game to Holyoke. But the Redhawks have been on a little bit of a downward spiral. They're really not playing very well right now. And hopefully things are going to pick up. You know, according to their coach, Evan Horton, he said, bottom line is we weren't ready to play. We don't show up in the beginning of games. We get outscored in the first 10 minutes. And then what happens? We end up playing catch-up each and every time. And let me tell you, when you're playing catch-up, it's very hard to come back. This one they had a chance to, though. They end up losing to Holyoke. The Redhawks are down in this one. Final was 1-0. Well, the Frontier girls field hockey team, they ended up getting beat as they took on the powerhouse of Long Meadow. Final score was, this one is very big. How about 8-0? 8-0 to the powerhouse in Western Mass with Long Meadow. And the Lancers opened up with 4 goals in the first half, putting 33 shots on goal. Man, that is pretty impressive right there. And things did not go well. I will tell you, though, that it was a tough day for the Red Hawks. Well, in girls soccer on Monday, Christina Reed, Victoria Marin, they had nice hat tricks, and also Eva Pruitt-Dahl. She ended up with a goal and 3 assists as Greenfield ended up beating the Tech School easily in this one. Final score was 9-1. Elizabeth Trudeau and Emma Savoy, they also scored in the win, as well as Jenna Thiebaud. She ended up having the lone goal for the Tech School. Well, Pioneer took on Smith Vocational. That was in girls soccer. Paige Loftman had a pair of goals, and it was a nice job right there by Pioneer as they picked up the 3-1 victory. We'll tell you, though, they have been sort of an off and on team right now, and they're a team right now that people are wondering if they're going to be able to get into postseason play. I really think that this team can get into postseason play. The team that's been hot right now in girls soccer is a team that was never in the running for this kind of even a league title, and that is the Greenfield girls. They are playing very good soccer. Well, the Franklin County Tech dominated in Springfield last Monday as the Tech School picked up an easy win, and it was an easy one as they ended up no problem with a win over Sabas, 20.5 to 3.5. Mike McGoldrick ended up with a 37. Also, the Tech won 5 of the 6 matches as Alex Sulda. He also picked up a victory in the number 1 spot. Anthony Zager shot a 41 in the number 3 spot. Jacob Shaw shot himself a 51 in the number 5 spot. And Nate Sciandra picked up the win in the 6th spot. And he ended up with a 46 on the day. Frontier continues their winning ways. Easy win for them over at Ellenwood Country Club over there in Orange, in the Orange Athol area, that is. And the final score was 22.5 to 1.5. Mikey Corduff ended up with a 39 to lead the way for the Red Hawks. I will tell you right now that they are playing very good golf right now. Frontier, Greenfield, Franklin County Tech, solid golf programs in our area. In girls volleyball, it was a big win for the Tech girls, and they ended up having a very good week. That's right. They end up beating Smith Vocational 3-1. The Eagles opened up with a 25-18 win in set number 1, and then they end up taking set number 2, 25-20. That's when the Vikings ended up fighting back, and they took the third set. It was 25-19, and then the Tech closed out the match in the fourth set with a 25-14 victory. Renee Reed led the way with 5 aces, 3 digs, 6 assists, 1 kill, and 1 block. Mackenzie Martell also had 2 aces, 5 digs, and 3 kills with 2 assists for the Eagles. Emily Ryan ended up with 5 aces and 5 kills, and also Maggie Carlton ended up with 3 aces, 2 digs, and 4 kills. So nice job, ladies. They are doing very, very well right now. Congratulations to the Tech girls in volleyball. Well, Pioneer, they end up beating Mohawk in girls volleyball. I do have the final on that one as well. After trailing 2-1 heading into the fourth set, Pioneer knew it had to be able to step up their game if they wanted to have an opportunity to pick up their first win of the year. Well, they were able to get it done, and they ended up winning. So they battled back for that 3-2 win over Mohawk. So congratulations goes out to them. Also want you to know that Abby Briggs ended up with 6 aces, a kill, and a dig in the win. Lily Fye ended up with 4 aces and 2 kills, and Emily Tibbetts ended up with 4 aces and 2 digs. Now freshman Olivia Hammond came on to serve, and she stepped up with also some aces for Mohawk. She has had a great year this year. Octava Crawford ended up with 3 kills, 7 assists, 1 dig, and 6 aces. Allie Patno ended up with a trio of kills, as well as 6 aces, and Hannah Plesner ended up with 6 kills and 7 aces. So congratulations as the Pioneer girls pick up their first victory of their season in volleyball. Final was 3-2 over Mohawk. Well, Turner's Falls girls picked up a nice win over Mahar. They win in volleyball. Final was 3-0 as the Thunder came out, and they came out strong. They win game 1, 25-12. Game 2, 25-13. And game 3, they win 25-22 to end up sweeping that one. Haley Bogus ended up with 6 aces and 7 kills for the Thunder. Dabney Rollins ended up with 6 aces and 4 kills, while Stephanie Peterson chipped in with 5 aces. Athol ends up beating Greenfield. Final score in that one was 3-0. They end up losing game 1, 25-16. They lose game 2, 25-16. And Greenfield loses game 3, 25-19. Gianna Conti ended up with 6 digs, 5 aces for the Wave. Also, Corianne Callahan ended up with 4 kills for the Wave. Well, turned out to be a nice victory, and a victory that was very important for the Mohawk Girls Warriors as they were looking for a win, and they end up beating Northampton. Final score was 3-0. I will say this, there is one thing that we have noticed in this area. Number one is that we have some really good field hockey programs, and I'm very impressed right now with the Turner's girls. And I'll tell you why. Because they lost 2 of their best players. When you lose Cassidy Wozniak and you lose Amber Taylor from last year's team, you say to yourself, what is this team going to be able to do this year? Well, guess what? They have many different people that are stepping up. They have many different scorers. They have team chemistry right now that is looking very good. A team that probably a lot of people said probably won't go playoff bound this year. Well, let me tell you something, folks. Very impressed with this team over in Turner's. They have a very good program this year. And I'll tell you another thing, too. I really believe that Becky Dame is a very good coach and really knows how to work with the girls. And I think that with her at the helm, with this group of younger players and really some inexperienced players that are just learning, I think they have done a wonderful job. We've always said everything is fine in Greenfield and in Frontier, but I will say that Greenfield's having a little bit of struggles themselves right now. You know what their biggest problem is they're not communicating very well on the field. Now that says a lot of different things. There's a lot of things that can come from that. And the big question is hopefully these girls can get along with each other. When you hear about communication issues on a field, you start wondering if they really are truly getting along. And you know what? They have a great coach. And I will say, Erin Thayer is a very good coach, and she always gets the best of the players that she has. And the one thing that she has been preaching is that they need to communicate better. And I'll tell you, if they can get that under control, I think that Greenfield will be okay for the rest of this season. Well, the one thing we know is Missy Mahar has had a wonderful program down at Frontier. They have been very solid, and they're continuing their winning ways. So they are another one of our locals that has done very well in field hockey. So when you think about these three teams, they are right now playing very well with Turners, Greenfield, and Frontier. As we continue on here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, I'm Bobby C. Want to welcome you here. Want to let you know that we have wonderful underwriters that make the difference. And hopefully you can get out and support them like they support the kids. We have the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also Denny's Pantry on Berniston Road in Greenfield, Sean Hubert and Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue Way in Turners Falls, and by Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Well, looks like things went well in good old cross country for Mohawk as they picked up an easy win over Munson. And it really worked out well for them as they end up winning easily over the Mustangs, 17-45. And a congratulations goes out to them on a great win. They have really done a nice job. And on the boys' side, Munson came out on top. They end up beating Mohawk. Final score in that one was 18-45. But I will say that Mohawk in a tri-meet, they end up beating Mahar. Final score was 28-29. So they did win by 1 point. Dennis Simmons took third. He ended up doing well with a time of 18 minutes and 41 seconds. So there you go. The girls end up winning. The boys end up losing too, but they did beat Mahar 28-29. Well, in cross country, Frontier leads the pack, everyone, and they ended up placing 6 of their 10 runners in an easy win over St. Mary's. That was last Tuesday, 15-50, and they end up beating Gateway 21-36. I will say that Garrick Branda, he ended up continuing his strong start of the season. He ends up with a nice time of 20 minutes and 2 seconds. Patrick Boyden ended up following close behind at 20 minutes and 29 seconds. Brett Robinson was the 4th runner to finish, 21 minutes and 18 seconds. Kai Sharp was 5th, 21 minutes and 28 seconds. Danny Fellows also in there, as well as Aiden Gray. They made the top 10. Palmer ends up beating Greenfield 26-30. Greenfield beat Smith Vocational 15-50 in boys cross country. Andy Bostrom ended up in 5th place. He ended up with a time of 20 minutes and 2 seconds, followed by Alex Terrell at 20 minutes and 22 seconds. Also, Gianni ends up with a time of 21 minutes and 12 seconds, and Eric Badillo ended up with a time of 21 minutes and 14 seconds, and Matt Conway came in at 22 minutes and 4 seconds. In girls cross country, I will tell you right now, it turned out to be pretty good competition as a few ladies were going at it in a tri-meet between Palmer, Smith Vocational, Hopkins, and then Greenfield ends up winning all the matches. They end up beating Palmer 17-39. They win by forfeit over Smith Voc. And yes, the Vikings didn't even qualify for enough to be able to play. I will say that Candace Liu took 1st place with a time of 24 minutes and 23 seconds. Also, Eva Heath ended up 2nd place, 25 minutes, 20 seconds. Also, Gianna Gold ended up with a 3rd place finish at 25 minutes and 51 seconds to give the Wave the win. They have done an excellent job this season. Frontier, they end up winning in girls cross country. They beat St. Mary's 15-50, and they beat Gateway for 15-45. So congratulations goes out to them. Abigail Howard ends up with a time of 25 minutes and 3 seconds. Leah Gump with a time of 25 minutes and 8 seconds. Also Sadie Ross with a time of 25 minutes and 42 seconds. Sasha Malo ends up with a time of 26 minutes and 6 seconds. Leah Vici ends up with a time of 26 minutes and 14 seconds, so they did very well. Also, Angelina England ended up in 8th place, as well as Adrian Joseph. She ended up placing 10th for the Red Hawks. Well, the boys in Greenfield picked up a nice win that they needed. They end up beating Granby. Final score on Tuesday was 3-2. Teddy Pop, he ended up with the lone goal in the first half for Greenfield. And then they ended up getting a goal from Caleb Duncan. That worked out well for them. And then they also picked up another goal from Crescens. So it worked out pretty well for them as they picked up that victory over Granby. In girls soccer on Tuesday, it was Frontier. They were blanked on the road. Final score was 1-0. They got beat by Gateway. I will tell you that Samara Green ended up with 5 saves for Frontier in the loss. Also, it was Duggan Academy with a win over the Mohawk girls. Final score was 5-0. Well, that golf team, we've been talking about how good they are down at Frontier. They remain undefeated, and they beat Northampton as of last Tuesday. Final score was 19-5, and they did that over at the Northampton Country Club. The Red Hawks swept all but one slot against the Blue Devils. Kyle Maynard, Gunnar Moore, Porter Clancy, Brian Bauman, and Rowan Blair, they all won for Frontier. Congratulations goes out to them on their win over Northampton. Greenfield with an easy win over Smith Academy. Final score was 15.5 to 4.5. Gabe LaRoche, he ends up doing well, ends up with a 47. Also, Danny Provost had a 47, as well as Jake Cody with a 45. They were winners. Also, Ryan Cody and Dan Kavanaugh, they battled to a 2-2 tie at the number 1 slot. They both had a 39. That match was played at the Greenfield Country Club last Tuesday. Pathfinder with a win over Mohawk. Final score was 13.5 to 10.5. Ben Thompson shot himself a 42. Phineas Tupman ended up picking up a win for the Warriors in the number 5 spot. Nice job right there. Great job by the Warriors as they end up hanging in. Looks like the Ware and the Turners Falls matchup was a little bit of a lopsided one as Ware knocked off Turners Falls in golf 17.5 to 6.5, but they have a very young team. Brian Poirier ended up shooting a 43 for the Thunder in the loss. Yeah, it was good enough for a 2-2 tie, but I will say that Joey Mosca shot a 45, but he ended up getting beat because the guy he went up against had a great round of 36 for Ware. Well, in field hockey, yes, it looks like Stella Clark and Avery Dupree scored some goals as Mohawk ended up with a 2-1 win against Athol. Maya LaSure picked up an assist for Mohawk as well. Can tell you that Cordell Kendall ended up with 4 saves for the Warriors. As we continue on, we talked about how good this team has been doing, and field hockey in Turners has been very solid. Well, they picked up a nice win over the Franklin County Tech School. It looks like an easy time for them as they won last week 6-0. Printila, yeah, she led the offensive charge. She had a couple of goals, also assisting on another. You know, it's funny because when you talk to their coach, Becky Dame will tell you that they started off really slow in this game against the Tech, but they really started to pick things up. Freshman Lindsay Davenport opened up the scoring for the Thunder with 11 minutes to go in the first half, taking the ball into the crease, and then she fired it for a chance to get things started for the Thunder. Then, I will say that it was until Tila ended up sending the ball into the deep area with 2 minutes left in the half, which was fielded by Kendra Campbell, who turned and rifled the shot inside the cage for the Thunder. I'm going to be a little biased here, but Kendra Campbell is my niece, and I will tell you, she is a wonderful athlete. She has a lot to contribute to this program. You know, I think about how things have gone with this team, and I've been very impressed. Campbell also had another assist in this one. Kaylin Voudrin ended up finding the cage. You know, it was really nice to be able to see some different girls be able to get it done in this one. I think the reason why Turner's Falls is doing so well is because there's many girls that are stepping up. It's not just one or two people. You know, it's very hard to be able to contain a team when there's 4 or 5 people that can score goals. When there's only 1 or 2 that are trying to do it on a team, it's very easy to be able to put the pressure on those. But when you got 4 or 5 that can get it done, it's very hard. And I'll tell you, the defense has done a wonderful job for Turner's as well, because if you look at the way that they have been playing this year, they have been able to do well. And we'll give a little shout out, speaking of defense, to our wonderful assistant producer in Allie Murphy. Her and her team have done a great job this year. Well, you know, there's also a couple of other girls who got it done. Paige Schulda ended up with an assist from Olivia Whittier. Davenport ended up getting an assist as she was able to get that, as Tila ended up scoring her second goal of that game. 6-0 win, Turner's Thunder over the Tech School. Well, I can tell you right now that Mahar ended up having a great game against Pioneer Boys in soccer. Turned out to be a big one, but it was a big disappointment for the Panthers as they lost this one 2-1. Wow, turned out to be a wonderful battle between them. You know, really came down to how things were going to go in this one, and it all changed in the second half. You know, if you talk to their coach, though, Don Frazier, he'll tell you that this was probably the best complete game that his team had against Mahar, but they ended up coming up on the losing end, just a little short. Final score was 2-1. They ended up losing their starting keeper, Ryan Potter, early in the second half to a thumb injury, so they had to have a new one step in and do that for them. But I will say that Jacob Quinn ended up doing what he could when he came in to replace Ryan Potter. Hope Ryan is going to be okay. So there you have it. We're down 2 out of our 5 days here of what happened last week in sports as we made it through Monday and Tuesday. But before we get into Wednesday, I want to tell you that by the time we get to Friday, it's going to be exciting because we are going to be able to really enjoy a game Friday night. I don't know about you. I don't know what your game plan is on Friday night. I have a plan Friday night. My plan is to be over at Turner's Falls High School because what is happening is the Mohawk boys, their co-op program with Turner's, is going to have their game against Pecan Tech at Turner's. And you're asking, why? Well, it's Booster Day. It's Booster Week this week at Turner's. It's all about the spirit. It's all about the heart. It's all about the thunder. Well, the Thundering Warriors are going to be getting together on Friday night for some Friday night football, the only game that'll be played at Turner's this year. And I can tell you right now, folks, get there early. Should be a big crowd for this one on Booster Day. We'll give you more details about that game coming up in just a bit. Want to welcome you to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Want to say a big thank you to our underwriters once again. Also, we want to say a big thank you to the production crew, too. Thank you to Philippe, John, and also to Allie, to our friend Mark Snow at the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant, to Aaron and the staff at Denny's Pantry, Sean Hubert and the staff over at Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, and our friend Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Well, an 8th grader from Greenfield scores her first varsity goal. Yeah! All right, that's a great little start right there. And Carly Blanchard ended up getting her first varsity goal, and how well it worked out for her because they picked up a win under the lights on Wednesday against Pioneer. Final score was 3-1. Yep, she ran the loose ball in front of the net, and she buried it and gave Greenfield that lead in the first half, 1-0, and they went on to win. It was really cool because Blanchard ended up being very excited about her first goal, as she should be. The win kept Greenfield as of Wednesday at 6-1 overall. You know, until last year, this Greenfield girls program, they didn't make a playoff appearance for 15 years. Let me say that again. 15 years. They did not make the playoffs. Last year, they made it for the first time. This year, they're off to a 6-1 start. And look what they got coming up. An 8th grader right there. and Carly Blanchard is only going to make this team even better. You know, their coach Tina Rydell said it the best. It's great for the program to be able to have some young talent step up. You know, last year we made it to tournament. We always said that that was our goal, to try to be able to hopefully win the league and then be able to get into tournament play. Well, Coach Rydell, you're on your way right now. Your girls are playing very good. And hey, who knows? They could just do that. You know, that tournament appearance last year turned out to be pretty special. And I know that I thought it was awesome to be able to mention that you guys made that tournament, especially after that 15-year layoff. Well, things are starting to grow again in Greenfield for the girls' soccer program. Well, I will tell you that Paige Loffman, she ended up picking up a goal for the Panthers. So that was a nice job done by her. Also, I want you to know that really there was a couple of other kids who did well in that one too, including Emma Savoy. She had a goal that was assisted by Blanchard. So not only did Blanchard end up having a goal, but she also had an assist on the day. Very memorable day for her. And Christina Reed was also assisted by Blanchard as well. So really, these kids are getting it done in Greenfield. Well, after trailing by 2 sets, the Franklin County Tech volleyball team, they are on a roll here, folks. They end up winning over Duggan Academy. They win game 1, 25-15. Game 2, 21-25. Then they end up losing, game 2, 21-25. Then they lose game 3, 22-25. They end up winning the next 2. They win 25-14 in set 4. Now, if they go to set 5, they only go to 15, and it was 15-12. They ended up winning. Worked out very well for them as they continued their winning ways. Faye Smith ended up with 5 aces, 2 kills, and a block. Also, there's another one who's been able to get it done too. That's Kelly Trudeau. She ended up putting down 7 aces and a pair of kills. Emily Ryan led the offense with 8 kills as well as a block and an ace. So congratulations to the Tech. After starting off on the slow end of things, they are really starting to pick things up. Turner's Falls Thunder girls with a big win over Pioneer, 3-0. They end up winning. They win game 1, 25-23, 25-9 in game 2. Game 3 was 25-9. Turner's 8-2 overall, 7-0 in the league as of last Wednesday. 7 aces, 2 kills from Steph Peterson. Also, Haley Bogus had a strong night too. She ends up with 7 aces, 6 assists, and 5 kills. Lindsay Whiteman ended up tossing in 3 kills and a pair of aces. Pioneer ended up receiving 4 aces and a kill from Lily Fye. Also, teammates Emily Tibbetts with 2 aces and 1 kill, and Abby Briggs with 2 kills, 1 dig in the loss. So Turner's, their volleyball team, they were looking for people to play at the beginning of this season. They're now sitting at 7-0 in league play at the top, 8-2 overall. Well, Mahar ends up beating Mohawk. They win that in straight sets, 25-15. 25-8 and 25-11. I want you to know that Octava Crawford ended up continuing her good play. She had 3 kills and 2 assists. Cassidy Upton with 2 kills and 4 digs. Alex Lilly ended up with 5 digs. Also, Hannah Plesner with 2 digs and 4 kills as the Warriors end up losing to Mahar 3-0. Well, Minnechaug, they are the big dog around here. They knocked off the Frontier girls. Hey, listen, couple of heavyweights around here, and here's how it worked out in that 3-1 loss with Frontier getting beat by that really good Chaug team. They end up losing game 1, 25-20. Then they lose game 2, 21-25. And then they end up losing 25-10 and then 25-21. Chaug played really well this year. I will tell you that Sean McDonald said it best, that they are a very good team. They're on the upswing. They're playing well. Yes, we're 5-4, but I will say this. We are 5-4, but look at the competition we have played this season. You have to remember, they were a 10-10 team in volleyball and won a state championship. Let me say that again. They were 10-10, 500. Going into playoff play, they ended up winning state championship. Don't ever count out the Red Hawks volleyball program. They are legit, and their coach, Sean McDonald, gets the best of them every single beginning of tournament in November. So don't count them out. In boys soccer, it was the Franklin County Tech battling for 80 minutes, and they ended up getting beat by a very good Hopkins Academy team. Final score was 3-0. Their coach, Kurt Richardson, said it nicely. He said that they gave a good effort. The kids did everything you could ask for. A lot of energy. You know, we just had a big game against Westfield Tech the night before. We come back, we're ready to go, and yes, we end up getting beat, but we ended up giving everything we could in the loss. And I think that's what any coach could ask for, and a tough one as they get beat 3-0 by Hopkins in boys soccer on Wednesday. Smith Academy picked up a win over Mohawk 2-0. Congratulations goes out to Smith Academy on the victory. Ruben Bassett ended up recording 12 saves in the net for Mohawk. Mohawk still not doing bad for a program that just got resurrected this year. They are 5-3-1 as of Wednesday. In girls soccer, there was a game that was played, and that was between the Senators and the Red Raiders. And we normally don't talk about Mahar and Athol on our show because of their area that they're in, but them two did go at it, and it turned out to be a 0-0 game. So that sounds like a pretty fun one right there. In field hockey, high-powered Minnechaug ends up edging the Hawks. Yes, after coming off that 8-0 loss to Long Meadow, they end up having to take on a very good team. And boy, it was pretty tight for a while there, and it was a tough one. Final score was 2-1 as they end up losing a tough one. The Red Hawks had the early lead in this one, but they weren't able to hold on. Skylar Berniski, she had 14 saves in the net for the Red Hawks. Well, Turner's Falls, the girls continue their winning ways in field hockey as they end up knocking off Palmer, an easy win for them. And also, another young lady picks up her first varsity goal, and it was her first goal for the Thunder in that win over Palmer. And boy, I hope I can get this name right. I'm going to give it a go here. Ella Gubabani. And I know I probably screwed it up, but you know what? She is the one who's going to get the kudos on this one, picking up her first varsity goal for the Thunder in that 7-0 win. Turner's had a 5-0 lead, and then they received a couple of goals and an assist from Kaylin Vudrin, Paige Schulda, Olivia Whittier, Lindsay Davenport, Kendra Campbell. They all scored for Turner's. Brooke Thayer in Davenport also had a couple of assists. Haley Green ended up an easy day for her, only had to make 2 saves for the Thunder. Another great defensive performance as well as they picked up a 7-0 shutout. Well, in golf, the Warriors were tripped up by Hampshire. Final was 18.5 to 5.5. The Warriors, they are 2-8 as of Wednesday, and they're off to a pretty rough start here. But they got a couple of kids who've been able to play some good golf. Sam Thompson ended up with a 52. He ended up doing well. Phineas Tutman ended up with a 54. Also in there, Gage Patnode and Douglas Wilcox, they contributed as well. It was a tough one, though. They got beat 18.5 to 5.5. The Warriors go down to Hampshire Regional. Well, in field hockey, Greenfield ends up playing for a tie with Agawam. Turned out to be a 3-3 tie for them. Greenfield, as of last Wednesday, were 4-2-1. Now, they were leading in this one, 3-2, with a little bit of time left, but Agawam ended up hitting a penalty corner, and they did it with less than 2 minutes left, and it ended up being the one that tied that one up. Well, we talked about this earlier in the show. We talked about Coach Erin Thayer saying about communication. She says we got to continue to keep communicating. We got to keep working together. We have really good things that we are doing well. I will tell you that the hosts ended up out shooting Agawam in this one, 10-5. They earned 13 penalty corners to the Brownies 6. So good passing lanes, great ball movement, executing well. Just unfortunately, they gave up that goal late. Otherwise, they probably would have won 3-2 and picked up a victory that they could have used. One thing that Thayer said, and I couldn't agree more, she just wants her team to continue to improve. She wants to see more improvement during the month of October and early November as we start getting ready for tournament play. We need to continue to do the things that we know we can do. And under Coach Thayer, they will get done. Want to welcome you to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report on Bobby C. We're up to Thursday, and things are moving along here for our show last week. And, you know, it's funny how we sit here a week later, and people are like, wow, it's already been a week, and we're finally getting all this information out. Well, listen, I got to have all the details here before I can share all this information with you. But Thursday was the lightest sports day of the week last week. Wasn't a lot that was going on. But I will tell you that in field hockey, Mahar picked up a 5-2 win over the Franklin County Tech girls. Peter Saladino and Holly Hicks ended up scoring second-half goals for the Eagles, who are 2-6. Logan Addison picked up an assist as well. Also, Kylie Boleno ended up with 15 saves. Nice job for her in the net for the Tech school. By the way, I wanted to explain something to you about that as well. People said, how come the Franklin County Tech School has to play in the higher divisions? Well, they have a boy on their team. With Peter Saladino playing on the field hockey team, that means that because they have a boy, they have to play up, okay? That's how the rule goes. So if you are a team that has a boy on your team, you have to play up. So the Franklin County Tech does not have any special treatment at all. Honestly, they're sort of to a disadvantage of whether Saladino can be that dominant because their team has to play up during the tournament play. So you'll notice that. It happens the same way when it comes to other programs as well. Matter of fact, there is a boy who plays on the tennis team for the girls down at Frontier. During the tennis season, they don't have a boys team. They only have a girls program. But because they have a boy who plays with them, they end up having to end up playing way up, or they have to just be able to figure out where they're going to go. So what they usually do is those girls play usually every year in the boys tennis tournament. And they do it because of the boy who's on that team. The girls also think it's pretty cool because they get a chance to be able to take on guys in that match. So they have done that now for the last couple of years. Just wanted to bring that out to you. So if you were just wondering why the Tech school ended up having to be in a situation where they played differently in the postseason, this is the reason why, having a boy player in Peter Saladino. Well, Pioneer and Holyoke, they ended up going off to a square of 1-1. Jenny Fuller had an assist from Avery Sargent. I can tell you right now that really Pioneer had the shot advantage in this one, 13-5. And Athena Fowler-Shaw, she ended up with 4 saves in the net to preserve the tie for Pioneer. Amherst ended up beating the Mohawk girls. Final score was 1-0 in field hockey. Girls soccer, it was Ware over the Franklin County Tech. Easy win for them, 8-1. In volleyball, the Franklin County Tech girls on Thursday continued their winning ways with a 3-0 win over Renaissance. You know, that was their 3rd win of the week. Pretty sweet there. 25-20 in Game 1, 25-17 in Game 2, 28-26 in Game 3. Big confidence booster for the girls as they continue their winning ways. Renee Reed ends up with 5 aces, 3 digs, and 5 assists. Maggie Carlton ends up with 4 aces, 5 digs, and 6 kills. Kelly Trudeau with 2 aces, 4 digs, 4 kills in the win. In golf, it was an easy win for the Tech boys. They end up beating Central 18-0 in golf action on Thursday. Mike McGoldrick shot a low 28. It was only because of 6 holes they ended up playing. Thursday ended up being a rainy day last week, and that's why we have a very light sports schedule. Well, we're off to our busy Friday. Friday's always busy, and let's get into Friday. Friday night football. And it was a big, big game between the Frontier Redhawks and East Hampton High School. And it turned out to be a 24-22 win for the Redhawks. They end up picking up a win, and it really came down to special teams coming up big. It was a dogfight, according to their quarterback, Garrett DeForest. He says, you know, it doesn't get any better than this. Head-to-head, two good teams battling it out on a Friday night. DeForest ended up running a bootleg from 3 yards out, where he ended up picking up a touchdown. You know, even Coach Don Gordon said it, even though it was an ugly win, a win is a win. Very true, Coach. Very true. Alec Kirkendall. So DeForest ended up running 2-point conversions in there as well. Kirkendall ends up with a nice touchdown. McMillan ended up being on the ground with 14 carries and 131 yards. Kirkendall ended up with 8 carries, 29 yards, and a couple of touchdowns as they pick up the win over East Hampton, 24-22. Well, it was a big win for the Tech boys this past week. They end up pitching a shutout against Monument Mountain. Final score was 34-0. Nice win right there for the Eagles after a couple of losses earlier in the year. They got 154 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns from Ryan Bergman, 2 passing touchdowns from Owen Bashaw. Hey, how about a nice receiving score from Hunter Wozniak? And the defense did an amazing job as well as they pitched the shutout. So big congratulations goes out to the Tech School. Also, the birthday boy back on Friday, Colby Malu, ends up picking up a 25-yard touchdown pass. And he was all excited as he picked up a big TD pass that he was able to enjoy on his birthday. And also their first victory of the 2019 season. The Tech picks up the win. Well, folks, Mohawk Turners Co-op football. Wow. They are playing great football right now. How about a 49-0 victory on Friday Night Football? Yes, they ended up pounding, and let me say that again, they ended up pounding their opponent, and they did it hard, and they end up picking up an easy win over Pathfinder. Turners Mohawk Co-op, 3-0. You heard me, folks, 3-0. They are averaging over 13 yards per carry, and they are dominating so many different ways this season. Evan Shippey, he ended up topping the rushing list for Mohawk. How about this? 12 carries for 141 yards, 4 touchdowns. Liam Driscoll, a Turner's boy, 77 yards on the ground, and 3 times he goes in the end zone. And Cam Lococo from the Warriors, he ends up with 6 carries and 98 yards. Really, things are going well. We'll tell you, though, ended up having an injury to Sean Davenport. He ended up sitting on the sideline for a few, but that's all right. Took a little break. It's okay because it was a big win for his team. Everything's all good, though. That team is playing great football. Yes, folks, Mohawk Warriors football, their co-op with Turners, 3-0 on the young season. Well, the other thing that we have to say is that there's a team that really needs to get things rallied together, and that is the Greenfield football team. They have a lot of young players. They have a lot of position players that had to come take over from the loss of the guys that they had from last year. But they will get things together in Greenfield. It may not be this year, but that doesn't matter because they still got a season to play. But this team is only going to get better because of the talent that they have. Great underclassmen. They have a very young team with guys who are going to be able to get it done. This is going to be a team that needs a little bit of patience this year to be ready for next year to be able to do a little bit more explosion. I really believe that Greenfield football is on the rise, especially with the young talent they have. They ended up with a bye week. They'll be back in action this weekend. Well, the Frontier boys soccer team, they finally end up getting off the schneid as they had that 5-game losing streak that was really taking a toll on this team. They pick up a 3-0 win over Pioneer. Avery Tuttle, Connor Wakis, also Tenzin, they all scored goals as Frontier snapped their losing streak to beat Pioneer. They are now 2-4-1 on the season. But we have to remember that they started the season pretty much playing all Division I opponents. Evan Horton definitely wasn't afraid to be able to schedule great competition. Can tell you that there was a lot of good things that happened in this one. Ryan Potter ended up playing well in the net for the Panthers. He ended up turning away 7 shots. And once again, it was a win for Frontier, 3-0 over Pioneer. Well, in soccer, it was Westfield Tech with a win over Greenfield, 2-0. Girls volleyball, Frontier girls with a win over Agawam, 3-0. Olivia Dean ended up with 6 kills. Also, Frontier snapped a rare 2-match losing streak as they end up picking up that win in straight sets, 25-16, 25-11, 25-22. Olivia Rosewarne registered 8 assists to go along with 2 digs, while their teammate, Jalen Sullivan, ended up tallying 4 kills, as well as freshman Sydney Scanlon stepping up into a larger role in the rotation. And she played well, dishing out 9 assists in the victory. It was a nice team victory, according to their coach, Sean McDonald. The whole roster contributed and was able to get it done. Greenfield picks up a big win they needed over Mohawk. Final was 3-0. They win Game 1, 25-14. They win Game 2, 25-18. And they win Game 3, 25-22. Hannah Melu ended up with 8 kills along with a block. Also, their teammates, Charisma Santana and Denise Mahanjo, ended up with 10 kills. Hannah Plesner ended up leading the way for the Warriors. She ended up with 5 kills, 2 digs, 2 aces. And Octava Crawford ended up registering 2 kills, 3 assists, along with a single dig. So Greenfield picking up a big win in volleyball over Mohawk. And West Springfield beat Turners. It was a tough loss for the Thunder. They got beat 3-1. Steph Peterson ends up with 3 aces, 2 kills, and 4 digs for Turners. Haley Bogus played well in this one as well. She ended up with 7 assists, 2 kills, and an ace. Teammate Taylor Green ended up with 3 aces, 2 kills in the loss. So the Thunder ends up getting beat by West Springfield last Friday, 3-1. Well, in field hockey, Greenfield picked up a 2-1 win over Northampton. Well, it's because Katie Hazelton scored 2 goals, including the decisive one in the second half, to walk away with the victory. So a nice win right there for the Wave. Well, according to their coach, Aaron Thayer said they came out flat. Yeah, we're happy to come out with a win, but it wasn't our best game. But we'll take the victory. Right now, we have to continue to focus on the communication. That is our biggest weakness right now on the year. Raquel Provost added that an assist for Greenfield in support of their winning goalkeeper, Ainsley Flynn, who ended up stopping just 1 shot. Well, I'll tell you right now, it's going to be a big matchup that we'll be able to talk about on our show next week, which will be the matchup that, believe it or not, as we record this show today, on this Tuesday, that there's a big matchup between Greenfield and Minnechaug. That game will be played later tonight as we are recording. Turner's girls pick up another win in field hockey, 4-0 over Athol. Avery Tila is not her name, folks. It's Bryn. Just remember that. I thought it was pretty funny how someone did have the misprint in there and said her name is Avery. No, it's Bryn, all right? So she ended up registering 2 goals to lead Turners to the 4-0 win over Athol. Paige Schulda and Olivia Whittier, they end up tallying goals for the Thunder as well. Lindsay Davenport finished with 2 assists. Caitlin Voudrin had an assist as well. Haley Green ended up only have to stop 1 shot. That means defense is doing a wonderful job. Another shutout for the girls over there in Powertown. Smith Academy ends up beating Pioneer in field hockey. Final was 5-0. As we get ready to wind down our show here today, because we are down to our final little bit of business, I want to let you know that the Invitational Golf Tournament that the league puts on for all the Western Mass is having their two-man team best ball. And I want to just announce the teams and their players that'll be playing in this tournament on Friday, okay? Representing Frontier will be the team of Mikey Cardiff and Kyle Maynard. So Mike Cardiff and Kyle Maynard will be the Frontier team. Ryan Cody and Gabe LaRoche will be the Greenfield team. And Alex Schulda and Mike McGoldrick will represent the Franklin County Tech School. And one more piece of business. Did you know that if the playoffs started today, that the teams that are in our area are Mohawk and Frontier? That's it. Yes, folks, if we were starting playoff football today, it would be the Turners Mohawk Co-op team and Frontier as the only two teams that have qualified for tournament. Of course, that hasn't happened because they still have more football to play before our football pairings start getting set up for early November. There you have it. Another fun week of the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Congratulations goes out to Ella on picking up her first goal. Also, a congratulations goes out to Carly Blanchard for picking up her first goal over there in Greenfield. Cool stuff, man. That's why I love doing this show. We'll do it again next week. For John Meisner, Philippe Simone, Allie Murphy. For our sponsors, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant, Denny's Pantry, Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, and Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. I'm Bobby C. Have yourself a wonderful one, and remember to support your local athletes.
Thanks for watching the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report on GCTV. Catch a game and be sure to join us next time for more sports and fun.